Hey guys, the new Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie release has had me thinking about video game film adaptations. I decided to celebrate all things that video game film adaptations have had to offer us in the last few decades with an iceberg of some interesting facts and tidbits of many of these films. Starting with level 1 and level 2, with the deeper we go, the more obscure the information. Let's get started. Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach is considered the first video game film adaptation to release theatrically, as it released in 200 Japanese theaters in 1986, while 1993's Super Mario Bros. Released in theaters internationally, including the United States, Canada, India, Australia, and France. If we count the first two mentioned in the previous entry, and only counting those that released theatrically in the US, as of the date of this video has been uploaded, 47 films based on video games currently exist. According to Metacritic, here are the 10 most critically panned films based on video games. Starting with number 1, Alone in the Dark has the lowest Metacritic score of a 9. Number 2, Mortal Kombat Annihilation with a score of 11. Number 3, House of the Dead with a score of 13. Number 4, In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege Tale with a score of 15. Number 5, Silent Hill Revelation with a score of 16. Number 6, Street Fighter The Legend of Chun-Li with a score of 17. Number 7, Blood Rain with a score of 18. Number 8, Wing Commander with a score of 21. Number 9, Postal with a score of 22. And number 10, Borderlands with a score of 26. Using Metacritic again, here are the 10 most critically praised films based on video games. Number 1 is Werewolves Within with a score of 66. Number 2 is Mortal Kombat 1995 with a score of 60. Number 3 is Detective Pikachu with a score of 53. Number 4 is Prince of Persia Sands of Times with a score of 50. Number 5, Resident Evil The Final Chapter with a score of 49. Number 6 is 2018's Tomb Raider with a score of 48. Number 7, Sonic the Hedgehog with a score of 47. Number 8, Monster Hunter with a score of 47. Number 9, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with a score of 47. And number 10, Uncharted with a score of 45. As of August 2024, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is considered the highest grossing video game film, with a worldwide gross of over $1.3 billion at the box office. The lowest grossing video game movie is considered to be 2005's Alone in the Dark, released on a budget of around $20 million, only grossing $12.7 million. However, 2008's Far Cry movie should also be considered, as it released in the US, Canada, and Germany on a budget of $30 million and only grossing less than $744,000 at the box office. Resident Evil holds the current record for the most theatrical films for movies based on video games, with 6 sequels that began with 2002's Resident Evil and ending with Resident Evil The Final Chapter in 2017. Some notable directors that have worked on movies based on video games include Paul W.S. Anderson. With the Resident Evil franchise and original Mortal Kombat movie, Anderson also directed Event Horizon, Soldier, 2008's Death Race, and The Three Musketeers. Rob Letterman, who directed Detective Pikachu, is also known for Monsters vs. Aliens and 2015's Goosebumps, as well as Shark Tale. Ruben Fleischer, who directed Uncharted, is known for Zombieland, Gangster Squad, Venom, and 30 Minutes or Less. I'm sure there's more I'm missing, but these are just a few notable directors. Uwe Boll is an infamous German producer, director, and screenwriter that came to prominence during the early 2000s for some of the worst financially and critically panned movies based on video games, including Alone in the Dark, Far Cry, House of the Dead, Blood Rain, and Postal. You'll be seeing a lot more of his name pop up in this Iceberg due to many of his controversies on and off the set. Although we are talking about movies based on video games that have released in theaters worldwide, there are certain video game films that have not released globally or outside of their country. A few examples include the live-action Ace Attorney and Mirai Ninja movies, which only released in Japan. When the first trailer for the live-action CGI hybrid Sonic the Hedgehog movie released, it received universal negative press due to the hyper-realistic design they had for Sonic the Hedgehog. After the backlash, director Jeff Fowler and Paramount made the decision to delay the film to give Sonic a complete redesign. The new design garnered positive reaction from fans and the press, with the film later becoming a box office success that has led to spin-offs and sequels. Many people were outraged when the cast for 2023's Super Mario Bros. Movie was revealed, with Chris Pratt casted as Mario. Many argued that Charles Martinet, the original voice of Mario, should have served as the voice of the theatrical Mario. Although Martinet did serve as the voice of Mario's father and a Jumpman character, many were still displeased with the Chris Pratt casting, but the movie still performed well in the box office. After the release of the Minecraft trailer in September 2024, millions of users disliked the trailer on YouTube with a ratio of 626,000 to 1.6 million after a week. Many fans highlight the animation style not being loyal to the original design of the games, as well as the Hollywood casting of Jack Black as Steve, who has been in 3 video game film adaptations in the past 5 years. In June 2006, Uwe Boll challenged several of his critics to a 10-round boxing match. Some of the requirements to qualify in fighting with the Raging Bull is that the critic must have written 2 extremely negative reviews of Bull in print or on the web. The behind-the-scenes production of the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Suffered many notable disasters. This includes on-set feuds and conflicts between the actors and the husband-wife director team Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, multiple rewrites to the script daily, Bob Hoskins being electrocuted and suffering multiple injuries during shooting, and dozens of other horror stories. The Neo Geo Double Dragon was a 2-player fighting game that has characters and stages completely inspired by the 1994 live-action movie. In 2003, Jean-Claude Van Damme was working on a sequel to the original Street Fighter movie, titled Street Fighter II, with Universal. The sequel was planned to feature Dolph Lundgren and Byron Mann, but the project was eventually scrapped. Universal Pictures would then lose the rights to produce live-action Street Fighter films, and were acquired by 20th Century Fox, where a reboot would lead to Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. Many of the iconic one-liners from the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie were ad-libbed, including the Johnny Cage $500 sunglasses line, as well as the "Thank God I didn't ask him to park the car" line. Christopher Lambert originally cited his reason for not coming back for Mortal Kombat Annihilation due to his commitment with 1999's Beowulf movie, but later admitted it was due to not liking the script. In an interview, Freddie Prinze Jr. discussed his hatred for his involvement in the 1999 Wing Commander movie. Quote, "I can't stand Wing Commander. I can't watch one scene of that movie. I read the script and loved it. So did my buddy Matthew Lillard. We both got the parts. We went on location and they said, 'Here's the new script.' It was a piece of shit." Unquote. To appear more athletic when portraying Lara Croft of the Tomb Raider games, Angelina Jolie wore a padded bra. Paul W.S. Anderson and Mila Jovovich met on the set of the 2002 Resident Evil movie and would later marry in 2009, working together on the other 5 films in the franchise, as well as the Monster Hunter movie. 2005's Doom provides a nod to the FPS games with a first-person shooting sequence that took 14 days to shoot. Director Christopher Gans spent about 5 years trying to secure the film rights to the Silent Hill franchise. He sent Konami a video interview explaining his plans for the film and how important the games were to him. He also included scenes he filmed on his own, cut together and overlaid with music from the games. 2006 Dead or Alive required lots of choreography and combat training, which meant the cast would train for 4 months in different fighting styles like boxing, kickboxing, and Muay Thai before they went to China for filming. The director of 2007's Hitman, Xavier Gens, appeared to have a different vision of the movie that went against what 20th Century Fox wanted. Reports before the film's release confirmed that not only were reshoots taking place, but that Fox had fired Gens and denied him a final cut of the movie. 2008's Max Payne, John Moore wanted to make sure he captured similar visual effects of the bullet time mode that you would find in the Max Payne games without the use of a complex camera setup. He accomplished this using the technique called boom vision, which involved using a Vision Research Phantom HD camera that captures 1000 frames per second for slow motion effects. It was used in 2 action scenes with a custom rig that spun the camera at 2 revolutions per second. The crew was kept at a distance to avoid damage or injury. Soho FX then integrated the footage into the final film during post-production. Director Uwe Boll made a bid to direct an adaptation of the World of Warcraft video game series. However, owners at Blizzard at the time said, quote, "We will not sell the movie rights, not to you, especially not to you," unquote. Kevin Taknarian was the director of the Mortal Kombat Rebirth short film that was meant to be a pitch to Warner Bros. Entertainment on his vision of a new Mortal Kombat movie. The short became so popular online that it would eventually spawn its own web series known as Mortal Kombat Legacy, which would eventually lead to the official film reboot, with Rebirth's co-writer given story credit in 2021's Mortal Kombat. In the beginning of the Rampage movie, when the astronaut is fending off the mutated rat in the station, the rat is likely a cameo appearance of Larry, a character from the Atari Lynx version of the 1986 arcade game of Rampage. But it was later debunked by the director Brad Peyton. Quote, "We didn't name him Larry, but I'm going to use that. If there is a sequel, I'm going to make the rat's name Larry," unquote. Alright, that's the end of part 1 and parts 2. Thank you again for your support, and we will see you for part 3 and part 4 next week. Be sure to give us a like, comment, and subscribe for more Super Media Runners.